It's not looking good for us today. Turns out we are on a stranded island.
You scared me. I usually start.
I know. We are on a stranded island.
Okay.
And this is a video idea from one of our subscribers, Stephen Tampia.
All right.
Tempura.
Okay.
Maybe like the batter.
Hey, maybe.
I did a quick glance at the email before we started this. Stephen, thank you for your suggestion.
Yeah, thank you.
Maybe not, because we're on an island. We have to pick one.
Yeah.
I kind of changed his suggestion a little bit.
Okay.
He said to pick 5, regardless of availability, proof, price, all that kind of thing. What I thought would be interesting is if we each chose a sort of non-allocated shelf bottle and then a more higher allocated, maybe discontinued type of bottle, to kind of see what our last pour would be if we were on an island, a deserted island. Kind of like, have you ever seen Lost?
No, I haven't seen a TV show, no.
Well, I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, but I have also not seen Lost. But I think the premise of the show is
supposed to be good, is it?
I get, yeah.
Okay.
Some of my buddies said it's like one of the best shows ever made.
Really?
Yeah, pretty high bar there.
Then.
But with Lost, I guess they're on a plane and they crash land on an island, and then that's kind of all I know. I think they just try and survive, and there's like a whole thing. It went for like 10 plus seasons, I think.
Wow.
It's a pretty popular show.
Okay.
But I've never seen it. But we're gonna do a similar thing, but instead of trying to survive, we're just drinking bourbon and waiting for somebody, I guess.
And on second thought, I want to just give a little scowl to Steven, because it's really, this whole thing has perplexed me big time.
Steven, you really did a number on it. He was pacing around.
I've changed 17 times, I think. I really have. These are the type of topics that just blow my mind.
It was easy for me.
Of course
took maybe 5 minutes, and I knew mine. But.
Yeah, I've changed a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Let's just leave it at that. All right, buddy. Go ahead. What do you have first? And so we're going to deal with what first? I'm sure non-allocated. You want me to go first?
I'll let you go first. We're going to go non-allocated. We'll do Kurt's and mine, and we'll do the allocated Kurt and mine.
All right. Well, through much thought process, and I bounced around all over the place. Of course, right off the bat, I pulled a wild turkey. I actually pulled a Russell's Reserve single barrel. That's what I pulled. I know. It could have been the barrel proof. It could have been the 101. There's so many ways I can go with wild turkey. But then I thought in my head, I'm on a desert island. I'll never have anything else ever again, right? So I want to switch it up a little bit. I don't want to eliminate myself from something that I truly love, which is Scotch. I really like Scotch. It notches just beneath bourbon for me, Trent.
That's a shame.
I know. So I picked Aaron Tenure. It's definitely not allocated. It should be around $60, $65, and it has a beautiful tropical vibe too.
Oh, I see what you're going with.
Which I went with there. 92 proof. I think the proof's perfect to be on a desert island somewhere, sipping a little Scotch.
I don't know about you, man. I usually don't get. I don't usually overindulge, but if I'm on an island and I'm probably gonna perish, I'm gonna go with something that's pretty high up there.
I'm gonna find a way to survive, man. That's what I'm gonna do.
It would not be good for me. I'd probably get eaten by a zebra or whatever lives on an island. I don't know.
Highly doubtful it'd be a zebra, but you never know, Trenton. You never know.
This is what you'd pick last, man.
I love this. It's tropical. There's pineapple in there. There's a little bit of banana in there. There's like guava in there.
I don't even know what a guava smells like.
It's fantastic, dude. Honest to God, it's really good.
It is a pretty fruity smell. I'll give you that. But 92 proof.
It's so good too to be non-allocated. 60, 65 bucks. A little biscuity. You get a little bit of maltiness, and it goes right into those tropical vibes. I'm sticking with it. I've changed 100 times. I'm going to stick with this.
I'm happy for you.
Yeah,
I think
I like it.
Well, you went in a more of a single malt Scotch direction. Surprise, surprise. I went with a rye for mine.
Well, there you go. Why are you beating up on me and you went with a rye?
Well, because you went with a Scotch. Rye's better than Scotch.
Okay.
A little bit of a hot take. But I was going for something that had a little bit more of a, what's the word? Diverse palate. You know, something you can kind of pick a ton of different stuff out. You can enjoy. I feel like anytime I drink this, I get something a little bit different. And that is the New Riff Balboa Rye.
Yeah. Well, I apologize, Trent. I never took mine out.
Well, you're putting that out there. People are going to get mad at you.
What am I doing?
You made a good point before the show even started. You said, I'm surprised you didn't go with a Sagamore Rye. And I
did.
I will
was
admit
shocked.
that I'm a huge Sagamore fanboy, and I love especially their sherry finish. But I feel like with the Balboa, it offers a little bit more of a flavor depth. You get a little bit more from a lot of different areas of the rye with this Balboa rye strain that they used in this.
Sure.
And don't get me wrong, I still love Sagamore sherry rye. I still drink it several times a week. But if I am looking for something that is a little bit different, I go with this.
Yeah.
And that's
sure.
kind of what I would want to end on. You know, if I was stuck on this island.
I will have to tell you that took some thought process that I didn't really think that you would
You say I'm like a
go down that road.
You
You
saying
know?
like I'm like a simpleton or something?
Well, you usually stick with what you like, you know, and I really thought you'd pull out Sagamore Sherry because you love that bottle.
I do.
But there's a lot going on in here that I truly love too. I mean, it's citrusy, it's bright, it's a lot different than a normal rye whiskey.
Yeah, and one thing I like about New Riff is that they experiment with a lot of ryes, and I'm a huge fan of that aspect. But with this one, it's more of a. It smells like lemon pledge. I'll say that.
It's nice and lemony on the nose for sure.
Yeah, but it's like a lemon tart or something.
a
Real
lemon
sour,
tart.
nice, sweet.
Very nice,
A lot
yeah.
of different aspects.
Because there is some sweetness there too. So, you know, lemon pledge I thought might be a little bit stretched there, but when he came back with that lemon tart, I think that's perfect. And I love the aromas coming out of that. I really do.
It's a little dusty too, though, in a way that I also get from the Sagamore Sherry, like a tiny bit of like a.
Sure.
It's like a dusty lemon tart. Maybe you go into Walmart, they have that little deli counter or the little bakery counter, and you see this lone lemon tart sitting there, and they're like, "Hey, how much is that?" And they're like, "Oh, you don't want this one. It's been sitting there for
Been there for a couple
18
days.
weeks." And I'm like, "No, I want that one." That's what this reminds me of. It's nice and homey feeling.
Sure.
Old,
I like
dank
that.
lemon tart from Walmart. I love it.
I can't. You know what? With all that being said, okay, I really like that too. That's a pretty cool pick by you. So
Did you leave your other pick?
I did,
behind there?
yeah, I did, and that's okay. So we'll get to it, but we'll go with my allocated next, and this was like a huge battle in my mind, along with the non-allocated. It all was. Thanks, Steven. Appreciate it.
Well, just so you guys can kind of have a visual, he was bouncing. There's like several different shelves down here. He was bouncing around.
It was bad.
Going from shelf to shelf. He put a couple bottles up here, and he was doing one of these on them. Just trying to figure out what he wanted. And at the end of the day, he finished one.
Well, just to give a little bit of the history of what happened there. You know, the first I really thought I asked Trent to bring his George T. Stagg as last year's pick, and it's fabulous. It's really good. I mean, let's face it, Buffalo Trace. I can't say it's my top distillery, but I can't deny why it isn't others' favorite distillery.
Yeah.
Most of their stuff's pretty sweet. It's got a lot of stuff going on. That George T. All their antique collection is really good. You know, we've never owned a William LaRue Weller.
Not yet.
We've never owned one, but we've had some tastes.
Yep.
Spectacular.
Oh, I don't think I have. I've never had a WW.
Really? I've had a pour of it.
Oh,
you know,
bragging camp over here.
but that George T. Stagg was fantastic. I have a Carter up there, an old Carter. Their stuff is ridiculously good. But at the end of the day, here's what I thought, and maybe I'm overthinking. If you feel like I'm overthinking, tell me in the comments, because sometimes I do. Sometimes I have a tendency to overthink something that should be a little bit simpler, but I make it a huge ball of worms.
True that.
But I went with something a little less proof, because if I'm stuck on a desert island, and that's what you told me.
I did. That's what I
I
thought.
don't want to break out something that's 130 proof. I just don't. You know, Old Carter's 120 proof. I think that George T. Stagg you brought with you was 138 proof.
It's
so I'm
high
looking
up
at that and I'm like, do I really want to break that out in the middle of a desert island? I don't think
Well,
so.
it could be a tropical island. It could be are there winter islands? It could be one of those.
So I picked Old Forester Birthday Bourbon. I love this pour. It's always super solid. This bottle here is 98 proof. That's why I went with it, because it's a little bit lower proof for me. And that's me. That's my palate. I do enjoy some higher proof, but if you're going to give me one bottle that will never end, I'm going to pick something that's a little lower proof. This is what I'm going to do. Sorry about that, buddy.
This is the 2020 birthday bourbon.
Oh, it's so good.
I was when you told me about this, I was like, "Yeah, really, you want to go this route?" But I get it. I mean, it's very
that's
good.
where I'm at.
If your goal is to survive, I'm just kind of be chilling. If your goal is to survive and like get off of there, maybe make like a life raft or something with banana leaves or something, I could
Big
see.
SOS sign.
Yeah, light it on fire.
Help.
I could see
right?
why you would want to go with this one. 98 proof, it's solid. It's really still has those nice tropical, typical Brown Forman vibes to it.
It does, and it has a little bit of butterscotch note for me too.
I do get that a little bit.
It does. There's no doubt about it.
I don't remember the last time I had this specific year. I remember when you first opened it, I wasn't really into bourbon then, and you were clamoring about this thing, and I didn't know anything about it, and Mom got it for you. But I tried it, and I was like, yeah, I don't really see why it's so good. But now that I've learned to appreciate bourbons a little more, I can pick up different notes and profiles and things.
Yeah.
If I didn't go with my pick, I might consider yours.
Yeah, and that was my mindset. You know, let me know in the comments if you think I'm all messed up in the head. But moving on to yours now. I'm looking forward to this too. You really picked a good bottle. Trenton usually is just, this one. I mean, it's usually pretty quick, pretty simple, pretty easy. You kind of can feel the direction. I would have never picked both of these bottles that you picked.
You wouldn't have thought you would have thought Sagamore.
I would have thought Sagamore, and I wouldn't have thought the one you got coming up. Let them know what it is.
Well, a little bit of context behind this.
Right.
We do live streams the last Friday of every month.
Yep.
And this last month, July, we did the Booker's live stream.
Right.
So I'm kind of in charge. It's usually Kurt and Kent, and when Kent can't make it, I hop up here. But for the Booker's one, I was trying to come up with a couple different Booker's bottles that I know that they either haven't had or were from several years ago. And I came across some reviews on the Booker's 25th anniversary. You have the 30.
I do.
And the 25th anniversary came out in 2014. So I was a junior in high school. for some context.
All right.
And that is what I would pick, would be the Booker's 25th anniversary. It is 10 year, 3 month Booker's. This was released in 2014.
Okay.
And actually, I'm excited because the Booker's 35th is coming out next year. And I'll be old enough to hopefully find one, Harry. So this is 130.8 proof, and it placed as number 1 for your blind that I gave you, and second in Kent's.
Yeah, and Kent, I don't know what he was thinking.
Yeah, I don't know either.
And we all have our personal palates, and that's okay. But I'm gonna just tell you something right now. When we went through that flight, we had, how much did you give us? 6.
6. I did 6.
That was insane. So he gave us 6, and I think that was B, if I'm not mistaken.
It was.
But when I tasted it, I knew it was something special.
And it is special.
And I didn't come back to that until it was time to pick number 1. Because why? Why am I going to go back to it when I'm trying to pick last place?
Right. Yeah.
It was just, it was that special. It did not surprise me at all. That was my number 1. That was my number 1 for the blind. It did not surprise me at all. It was something like this.
Yeah.
And I never had it, and it was just really, really good. Best Booker's I've ever had.
Yeah.
Better than my 30. Of course it is. It's better than my 30.
This is the most butterscotch bomb of a bottle I've ever smelled in my life.
And I was just going to say that on the aromas. I'm not the greatest on nosing. I mean, let's face it, I'm not. I've had the sinus surgery. I'm just not. But it took me a half a second, and the butterscotch there is just glorious.
This one, it makes my mouth juicy. I'll say that. It does. It really coats the mouth nice, and I think you and I kind of struggled with some of our picks, right? Because yours is from 2020. When are you going to find a 2020 birthday bourbon again? You're not.
Probably not. Not going to happen.
With this Booker's 20, this was almost 10 years ago.
Right.
Where are you going to find it? Unfortunately, probably not.
Yep.
But we were just following Steven's orders.
Yeah.
And I think this is a new addition, and we both were kind of considering putting the Michter's 20 somewhere in the lineup here. I think you considered it for yours. I considered it for mine. I brought down a couple different options that I know we really enjoyed. But at the end of the day, this is just incredible.
What I have to say about that trend, and what did you say the proof was?
130.8.
Okay. To me, that drinks around 110 proof.
It does.
It drinks extreme. You hear that term a lot. It drinks lower than the proof.
Yep.
And some do. That's accurate. This one drinks extremely lower than the proof.
Yeah.
It's 130 proof. I would have never guessed that. If you asked me what that proof was, I would say, I would definitely say it's over 100, but I'd say around 110. I really would.
Uh-huh.
It's super sweet. I've never had a Booker's like that, ever. A lot of sweetness there, and Booker's really doesn't have a lot of sweetness.
Not usually.
It's a lot of
Especially not
earthiness,
butterscotch
savory,
sweetness.
things like that. But for me, anyways. But this one is super sweet, really good stuff. I was so glad that you had it there because I'm sure I would have never tasted it unless you had it down there for the blind.
I almost put your 30-year in there so we could kind of see where that fell in the lineup of the others. But I did. Hindsight's 2020.
That's all right.
But yeah,
That's
if these were, I guess you were digging up a hole in the island and you come across a vat of these,
Right.
you know, these would be the last ones that I would probably
Yeah.
drink.
All right. Hey, what I'm curious to find out is what you would choose.
Ooh, yeah.
This is a hard enough question for me, so let me put you through that. How about that? Let us know what you would choose if you only had one bottle. If you had an allocated, non-allocated, if you just want to choose one, let us know in the comments what you think because it's going to be super interesting.
It is.
Everybody's palate's different, and that's what makes it great. That's what makes whiskey so fantastic, and such a extremely diverse topic to even talk about.
It's fun.
It's great.
Yeah.
So let's see what you guys come up with. That's going to be a lot of fun. It took me forever, so hopefully it doesn't take you as long as it took me. As always, we ask you to please drink responsibly. See you next time. Right down here with Trent and I in a good old basement bourbon bar. See you later.